Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds, let the artificial intelligence do all the work, and increase conversions by 50% while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. All right, everyone, welcome to today's episode of Pathmonk Presents. And let's talk about today's guest. We have Sean Sheppard from FifthRow, is the managing partner of this amazing company that helps you turn your consulting service into software. Good to have you in today's show, Sean. How's it going?
Glad to be here, Rick. Doing great.
Amazing. So, Sean, I just gave the briefest description anyone can think about FifthRow, but myself and the audience want to hear from you in your own words. What's the heart of what FifthRow does, and how would you describe it to someone new?
Yeah, we are going after the $5 trillion management consulting industry to try and automate as much of it as we can using AI in the form of autonomous agents. You can rapidly build applications in a low-code, actually in a no-code fashion, to deploy autonomous agents to replace the work of management consultants, whether it's research or it's strategy or it's design or it's market testing and validation, business model concept creation. We've started in the venture building arena because that's where we were before. When we were U+, we were a corporate venture builder, and we built over 130 businesses, digital businesses for large enterprises globally. And we set out when Gen AI came out a couple of years ago to try and figure out how to cannibalize our own business, because we knew if we didn't do it, someone else would. We've been live with paying customers for about a year, and we're growing 20% month over month. And it's doing 80% of the work that management consultants used to do, or, lower level, let's say, analysts and researchers and, innovation teams, product teams, market intelligence teams, consumer insights teams, things of that nature.
Okay. Very interesting. So, I've worked as a design consultant for quite a while, and, I've always found myself in that predicament where, you want to productize your service, right? But there's so many components that come with it. And I think something like this would have helped a lot back in the day, right? But I'm also curious, what businesses, what types of consultants do you work with? And do you feel you're able to serve the best at this point?
Yeah, again, since we come from the venture building and the innovation space, we started in that vertical, but we're quickly advancing into a wide variety of different verticals. Any kind of physical, any kind of human service that can be automated, we're trying to automate. So our early customers are existing venture building clients. We're taking a process that used to take 6 months and cost $500,000 and getting it down to a matter of a couple of weeks and tens of thousands of dollars. So we're rapidly at scale able to ideate, develop business model propositions, test those propositions, validate them, and eventually get to what we call predictive company building, where we can predict demand before we invest heavily in any given idea. We're now starting to partner with professional services organizations who see that similar future for themselves, where they're going to be replaced to some degree, not entirely, but a significant portion of their work is going to be replaced by AI, so they can focus on the high value stuff, the creative thinking, the strategy, the insights, subject matter and domain expertise, to do 80% of the work 90% faster and cheaper.
Okay, that sounds very appealing, I'm sure, to anyone listening at the moment. What's predictive company building, was it?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What does that consist of? And
Yeah, in the innovation venture building space, or the venture studio or startup studio space, as some people might call it, You have an idea. You want to understand if that idea is big enough for you to care about, that it matches your strategy, core assets, and capabilities as an organization. And then you want to be able to test that idea with customers before you actually invest heavily in it. And so we're able in a matter of hours to get to a set of ideas in a market space that aligns with a company's corporate strategy and their assets and capabilities, and then go out and start testing those ideas. The AI can generate microsites in minutes, do multivariate testing, and benchmark that against industry averages for similar products and markets to tell you if there's real demand. And that in and of itself has created the opportunity for customers and corporates to be more aggressive in their thinking around where new revenue opportunities might exist. And as an example, when we do this as a physical service, we would get about a 30 to 35% success rate of any ideas that we would test in the market for our clients. We're now at 82%.
Wow.
And I think the primary reason is that we have better insights, better data, more structured thinking and approaches to developing unique business cases and differentiation in the market. And the AI will also automate the microsites, the messaging, the ad copy, the campaign channels for distribution, the buyer personas, the customer journey maps, the scoping of MVPs and value propositions and calls to action in a way that allows us to land on something that's interesting for people.
Okay. Interesting. So let's say I'm in need of this kind of automation in my life, which I might, right? And many of the people listening are. How would I find out about you in terms of your acquisition channels? Then going on your side of things, how do you look at it? And how do people find me, and how do they actually, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, of course, FifthRow.com is a place you can go to learn more and get time with someone on the team to get a demo and understand how you might use it. Our customer segments go from solopreneurs, small businesses who can use it in a limited way to create new ideas and test those ideas and validate those ideas rapidly for as little as $400 a month, all the way up to enterprises that are spending $500,000 to $1 million a year to replace the McKinseys and the Bain BCGs of the world, that they no longer need to do all of this research for them. So you can go to FifthRow.com. Of course, you can follow me on LinkedIn, or connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me on Twitter. And then we have a typical enterprise outbound, sales and marketing strategy. I see you're a HubSpot partner. We use HubSpot on our stack. We use Apollo.io on our stack. We use LinkedIn. We use Linked Helper. And we do outbound sales and marketing through webinars, conferences, email campaigns, targeting people in innovation and strategy primarily right now. And then once clients start using our products and services, they'll see that there's a broad series of use cases based on the various types of users inside of a business. So we have, as I said, we have new product teams, we have innovation teams, we have strategy and M&A people, we have consumer insights and intelligence and market intelligence teams. We have growth teams and marketing teams and sales teams, all using the product to get to those key insights about the big questions they have about the future of their business.
Right. Well, you mentioned FifthRow as .com as your one of your main top acquisition channels, right? What kind of role does your website then comes when it comes to attracting clients? Then I guess we'll be curious to know if you think it has any standout strengths or maybe areas that could be improved even.
Yeah, when you're doing enterprise B2B marketing, you're less reliant on your website than, say, if you're in a B2C touchless, sales environment. It doesn't mean it's not important. It's got to have depth and breadth. It's got to educate customers. It's got to share your worldview with the people that agree with you and nurture them closer. You should have the ability to quickly understand what the value proposition is and how it might fit within your particular environment. Because I think the numbers are roughly around 70% of the sales cycle is done before a customer contacts you in B2B enterprise. There's a lot of available information. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of noise in the market. So you have to put yourself out there as a thought leader, and you have to show case studies and user stories about how others have been successful with what you're doing and how. You need to create a lot of opportunities for education. Because to me, content marketing is just finding out what questions your customers have and then doing your best to answer them. And then creating thought leadership through that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think you're really doing it for your LinkedIn, and as you mentioned, you're on it, right? And as far as I understand that, you mentioned a piece of data, right? That's like, that to me tells me people are coming to your website not for the first time ever to learn from about you from scratch. If anything, there's probably different touch points that they've gone through. Maybe they see you on LinkedIn, maybe they see an ad, right? But they're probably more ready than people think to again learn more, but also to convert in that sense, right?
Well, especially right now with the hype cycle around AI, and I've been a serial tech entrepreneur for 30 years, so I've seen all the hype cycles, and most of them are BS, right? This is terrible, but I always use this analogy. I'm going to say it anyway, but most of these hype cycles are like teenage sex. Everybody's talking about it, but very few people are actually doing it.
Yeah, they got great stories, right? But
yeah, exactly. AI, it's very real. The use cases are very real. The applications are very real. The return on investment in the terms of speed, cost savings, and accuracy are very real and very measurable. And if you can replace months of work and $500,000 of fees with days of work for tens of thousands of dollars, why wouldn't you? Especially if it's just as accurate, informative, and insightful as it was before. And so people are starting to adopt it, but the conversations are happening in the C-suite, and then they're putting together these AI committees, and then they're trying to figure out all the different horizontal and vertical applications and use cases for AI in their organization. Of course, there's still a lack of trust and a genuine fear, and different industries adopt change faster than others. But the reality is all those conversations are happening. So people are out there looking for content around this stuff, right?
yeah,
So we're not doing, traditional, what you would call, outbound paid advertising to attract customers. We're doing conferences, doing events, we're doing thought leadership in the form of webinars and short form and long form content, telling stories about how people are being successful. And that has to be a daily occurrence. And whether that's through the website or that's through LinkedIn, which is the primary channel that we push our content out on. And I've been on LinkedIn. I was like the 8,000th member of LinkedIn. I've got like this badge. There's 10,000 users.
all right.
I've known Reed in that group, being a Valley guy forever. And so that's been the most successful place for us to share our worldview.
Okay, that's interesting, and it sounds to me like the content you talked about, the in-person events and the conferences and the webinars is more on the longer form, as opposed to many of the things we see these days. Is for what I like to call like goldfish attention span. It's just like
Yeah.
short content, that kind of thing. But these things are actually, I'm sure they're educational, but they're also on the longer form of side of things, where people actually have to be somewhat committed to that information, to learning at least, right? So it shows that this kind of different level of interest.
Yeah, early adopters and innovative mindsets tend to be lifelong learners, and they'll seek out, content. And this interaction right now on a podcast is a perfect example, right? We all know how podcasts have exploded in the last, decade or so, and they're going to continue to grow as a way for people to get insights and information. And it's a new form of media that's on demand, so you can listen to what you want, where you want, how you want. And that's what we want. So our job is to go out there and share it in that fashion. Nothing beats in-person interactions, though. Anytime I enter a new space with a new product or service, I look for the thought leaders in that space and I reach out to them and I start to learn from them what really matters. And I do my best to impress them to a point to where they start to share the same message, because people listen to them, they follow them, right? So influencer marketing is important. We call it that today, but we used to just call it thought leadership. So you find the thought leaders, people who most people follow, and you start to work with them to figure out and refine your message and your positioning and your differentiation and your value proposition in a way that gets them talking about it and sharing it with the world as well. And that creates credibility for you, because your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. And that comes from other people, right? And so you've got to, build a strong reputation, and a good brand means that you've got to deliver on your promises. And you need to impress the people that the world follows.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's, because it makes me think for the leaders that, for example, listen to the podcast, right? They were always on the lookout for, new tips, new tools, and they're thirsty for that thought leadership, right? Themselves. And I was curious about, because as you were talking about what kind of content you push through the website or LinkedIn, but more specifically on the website, are there any tools or maybe approaches that, in your experience, make a great converting website? Anything you can share with the audience that, maybe they can take away? People love tools, right? So if you have one of those and then tapes that purchase, that would be great.
So I have a very good friend who I've worked with for years, who was a mentor at my Growth X Academy as a growth marketer, named Guillaume Demortier, who's built a product called Matrix AI, Maestrix.ai. And it allows you to do rapid experimentation at scale, from your website and all of these different channels. I apologize. It's Thanksgiving week here in Montclair, and my kids are home with the dogs.
No worries at all.
So there's going to be, you might hear a few barks from the big boy. Right.
All good.
But Matrix, I love as a great experimental tool. Obviously, the knock jar is fantastic, but I'm big on the human to human interaction. So, what I want to do is I want to do as many live customer interviews as I can around any particular hypothesis that I want to test. So if I can capture contact information, and be able to reach out and figure out what people thought of the website or how they're interacting with it or what could be improved, I'm going to do it. And it's going to be a part of our growth motion, for lack of a better term.
Right. So it's that one-on-one connection. I seem to value it a lot, and I really appreciate it. In fact, I want to switch gears a little bit. Actually, I want to talk about you as a leader, if you don't mind. So, what does Sean Sheppard do on a daily basis? Right, was a managing partner of FifthRow focus on when he gets in the office, or when he sits down in the morning, and how does he end his workday to say, okay, I've accomplished something today?
Yeah. So I think about my job is to create leverage in the form of people and capital. So how can I set my people up to be successful in what they do every single day? And how can I leverage them to scale the business? And then how can I leverage capital in the form of making money or raising money to put ourselves in a position of unique ability to manage? And those are the primary, say, overarching missions that I'm focused on a daily basis. And if I can do anything around that, then there are a lot of measurables and metrics associated with that, certainly. But if I can do anything around that, that creates or maintains a competitive advantage, grows revenue, and capitalizes the business, and gives my team everything they need to be successful. That's my focus. And on a daily basis, am I advancing the ball forward in those areas? Because it's about stacking days. When you stack days, you'll get results, right? It's not about the destination. It's literally about the journey, and having the discipline to stay on task with that on a daily basis will deliver the results you want, as long as you keep your maintain a growth mindset and you try to do what you can to learn how and where you can create value for your customers.
Yeah. Well, I love that you mentioned the growth mindset. And it sounds to me like everything needs to drive, at least that's like that for me, to momentum, right? You have to keep the momentum going. You can't let it stop because it's so hard to keep it going again, right? And the analogy I think about most times is like a rocket ship, right? It takes a lot of fuel to have it lift off the ground, but once it's going, right?
Yeah,
But
80% of a jet, 80% of the fuel's burnt just trying to get out of the Earth's atmosphere. That's right.
precisely. So that's kind of what I think about when you talk about, your focus on day to day and serving your team. Is like, okay, keep stacking wins day by day, day by day, day by day. And then,
It's all about traction, right? Activity breeds results. And you need to be patient with your results, but impatient with your activity.
I like that. I like that. Okay. So we're coming towards the end of the interview, Sean. So I want to jump into our rapid fire questions to close things up. And the only rule we have for this one is that only short and crisp answers are needed. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Video or text?
Video.
Okay. What's the most recent video you've picked up, and why did it stick with you?
Um, I'm a big stoicism guy. I think it's helped my life a lot to maintain and manage my emotions and provide perspective to my life, to stay off of the emotional roller coaster that is being a startup entrepreneur. So I do a lot of Ryan Holiday and Robert Greene. And so I love personal and professional development videos, shorts and quips and quick pithy things. Because I don't think there's a distinction between personal and professional development. If you develop yourself as a person, you'll develop yourself as a professional.
Love it. I was going to mention Ryan Holiday, but then you did it. So amazing. If there are no limits with technology, what's the one thing that you'd love to solve that will make your life easier as a leader?
I think just if there's no limits with technology as a leader, as a professional leader, not as a person, I would solve mental health for organizations.
That's powerful. And this is right in ballpark. So if you could automate one thing that you find yourself doing over and over every day, what would it be?
Counseling people.
Okay. Fair enough. It's just like,
That will never happen, and it shouldn't happen. But boy, sometimes I wish it would.
just the same questions come through, right? And yeah. Okay. Fair enough. What's the one piece of advice you would give yourself if you were to start over tomorrow?
Trust my gut. There's a reason your body tells you things, and you just have to listen to them.
Okay, that's a good way to end it. Sean, I want to thank you for being on the show with us today, and I also want to give you the last word. So, if someone forgets everything about the interview today, about what we talked about FifthRow, about stoicism, about anything, right? What's the one thing they should remember about your company, about your job as a leader?
Well, I would say from a marketing perspective, your job is to identify and share your worldview with those who agree with you, and ignore those who don't. Those that agree with you will nurture themselves closer to you, and those that don't will nurture themselves away. You only have so much time in a day to do anything. So just focus on the ones that care about what you're doing and share your worldview.
That's a powerful one to end it. Sean, I want to thank you for your time, and hope to see you soon again.
Yes. Well, thank you, Rick. I really enjoyed it.
Of course. Bye, everyone.